1, 2, 3, 4. Welcome to Crazy Chester. Welcome to Crazy Chester. Crazy Chester's Radio Hour. Welcome to Crazy Chester. Welcome to Crazy Chester. Crazy Chester's Radio Hour. Yeah, Crazy Chester's Radio Hour. Crazy Chester's Radio Hour.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Crazy Chester Radio Hour. I'm your host, Andreas Warner, music producer, songwriter, and composer with a Muscle Shoals soul. Now, today's episode is a little different and certainly special. As my guest, I have Doug MacLeod return to the podcast. And I know I just had him on the podcast a little over half a year ago, but there's been some new developments I really wanted to talk to him about, especially his new album, Between Somewhere and Goodbye, out now on the Great Reference Recordings label that I had the honor of producing. And as I did a few months ago with Mark Normore and Funky Chester's album, Keeper of the Flame, I asked Doug to do a deep dive on the record, what his process was behind it, and kind of give people a sneak peek and some sort of a peek behind the veil of making the recording. Besides being honored and thrilled of being a part of Doug's journey in realizing his creative vision on this new album, I'm also just super excited at all the great reviews we've been getting for it. I just woke up to two new ones by Blues Blast magazine and Blues Review magazine. And others like Microwave Dave Gallagher, great radio DJ and blues musician, said, "This is quiet genius from a man who can shout, ordained by hands and voices of great skill." Living Blues magazine said, "Doug MacLeod's playing carries the weight of a lifetime and the fire of someone just getting started. It's the blues of wisdom and it's never sounded better." Making a Scene magazine says, "Doug MacLeod has left a legacy that should carry the blues into the future and onto others." And Tom Mazzolini of Blues by the Bay is saying, "Doug is deep. He can tell a story with a compelling beat that makes every song wondrous. This album is a jam." And Silvano Brambilla of Il Popolo del Blues in Italy say, "Doug MacLeod has made one of the records of the year." And I hope you, dear listener, will connect with it too. And I would like to encourage you to check it out. It's streaming wherever you listen to music, but if you still like those hard copies like I do, you can get it from Doug MacLeod's website or from your favorite independent record store. All right, and that's enough said for right now. I would like to cut to my conversation with Doug MacLeod that we conducted a few weeks ago after a gig he did up in Kentucky. And when we recorded our conversation, unfortunately, the AC unit had a thing or two to say as well, which left the recording quality to be a little bit desired. But anyway, with that being said, let's cut through my conversation with the great Doug MacLeod. Doug, thank you so much for being back on my podcast. It hasn't been that long, but quite a few things happened since we last talked.
You ain't lying.
And you have a new record coming out.
Produced by who?
Oh, you tell me.
Produced by you, yeah.
Yeah, that I had the honor and pleasure of producing. Thank you for asking me back.
You're welcome.
And I'm curious how like the genesis was for you. Like, what was like Oh, maybe I should do another record. Was it time? Was it like, oh, it's been a couple of years, or did you have a couple songs coming your way and they felt like, oh, then maybe start off a record, or how did it start for you, the whole process?
Oh, I really don't remember. The only thing that comes to mind is after we did A Soul to Claim, which I still think is a real good album.
Absolutely.
I told my wife, Patty Joy, I said, I don't know if I got any more songs, And she said in her very kind way, she said, shut up, just more songs. Your field is just fallow now.
Yeah.
Like farmers do. Your field got to be fallow, and then it rejuvenates itself, and then the crops come out again.
I agree, and you have to live a little to write about it.
Mm-hmm. And and the things that happen, like that, they click. Once I realize that the fallow is going to be gone, ideas happen, and I write them down, or I get a groove or something like this, and they become songs. And then we had such a good time producing stuff, even though it was just me and the guitar, but just being with you was so relaxing that Mickey, my manager, and I were talking about it, and it might have been Mickey that said, well, how about if we ask Andreas? I said, that's a great idea. So I believe that's how that came about.
Okay. Did moving to Memphis maybe help reignite the creative spark a little bit too?
Oh, you're not kidding. Big time. We live on Mud Island, so the Mississippi's right there. And all of my music has always been blues influenced. And you can't help but feel that when you're in Memphis, And that song we got on the lead song, Memphis in Your Soul.
Yeah.
Well, that's because I think that when I went to Memphis, if y'all hearing a little shuffling going on, that's my feet going up on the bed, see, so I can stretch out. I always felt something there. Always felt something in that city. I always felt, I guess, the soul of it. And when I left Memphis, there was always a part of me. There was always a part of it inside of me. So that song came out, and I do remember walking along the Mississippi on Mud Island, and the pace that I was walking at, that groove started to happen.
Yeah.
And I said, that's a song. So I kept walking, kept singing it inside my head, got in the car, made sure the radio was not on, drove to the house. Just didn't even say hi to my wife, Patty Joy, just waved to her. And she knew.
Something was brewing.
Something was brewing. And I went upstairs to the office, and I got out the guitar, and there it came.
Yeah. So I'll tell you a little bit, I guess, from my perspective, how it originated.
Okay.
And kind of same as you, it happened before because you, I guess, had enough curiosity or faith, or I don't know, to do those raw blues sessions with me. I don't think the stakes are that high in a way, because we basically said, hey, let's just try and see what comes out. We didn't have to hire a band. It was like, the money issue was not really there. And I think that was also like a good matchmaking kind of, I feel like you could kind of feel me out. I could, we just kind of see, would it work? And that's what I was hoping, because I got to know you a little bit beforehand. I'm like, I think I kind of had this idea. I would love to have you in my life somehow. Not just because like you're a really intriguing person with a, you cannot, your soul is like kind of really radiating. So thankfully, this experience was as pleasant for you as it was for me, because I don't know, a year later or so, the phone rang, and you and Mickey said, maybe we should try another one.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's really the start for me. I'm like, sure, sign me up. I felt the same. It's not in my hand really to push that fact. That needs to be you. but I'm glad you did. And when I got really excited was when you sent me your little phone recordings of the songs you had, or the ideas that were percolating, because as soon as you did, I knew we had a record. Because for me, well, Nashville, they say, always starts with a song. And I feel like if the material is there, yes, you can screw it up, but you have the foundation to make a good record. And if it's not there, you can polish it up. Yeah, I guess you can try to make it as good as you can, but something is missing. And I don't even know if I ever told you, but I was just like, I was real excited about the songs. And also because some songs are kind of true to form, Doug MacLeod, deep blues, but there was some R&B like sprinkle on some of them, and me like coming from having that R&B soul, you know, legacy, I don't know, the baggage myself, is like, oh yeah, I can help with that. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you thought in the beginning, well, you know, we'll do like half of the album, just you and the guitar, and then add it's just kind of a gentle rhythm section on a few things. Am I right about that?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
And I kind of was the same, but at the same time, I kind of wanted to like, maybe we should just try and see what it sounds kind of, to add a band to all your ideas, like no harm, no foul type of way.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you didn't shut me down there, because I think eventually we agreed that that's what we needed to do. And with you, it might have taken a little bit longer to accept it, just because in your head, that's not what you heard when you conceived it. But I feel once we heard it, it made sense. Or I'm off there?
Not at all. Not at all. I'm used to playing alone, filling it up, just me, and the thing that when I saw you really took charge in the studio, which is a good thing. I mean, I compare you to Jim Gaines. Both of you are different human beings, and you approach it in different ways. But the similarity, at least from my experience with both of you, is really something. And you don't want to make the same record twice.
That's true.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The only reason Raw Blues came out, Raw Blues 2 followed Raw Blues 1, is that we made so many tracks at that one session that we could make 2 albums, maybe even 3.
Yeah.
But usually when you're putting out an album, I don't think you want to have it so that it's exactly the same as it was an album, or maybe an album or 2 ago.
You wanted to reflect who you are at that particular time.
Well, also the different input, like you have a different creative input. I think the thing that really is a blessing is that both our creative inputs like each other.
Yeah.
Right? If they didn't like each other, then that'd be a long time in the studio.
And it would be work.
That'd be something else, But if they like each other, then you work together. And I mean, you had ideas that I never thought of. For instance, when you suggested "Roll Like a River, Go Faster," and then once we heard it, then when I heard the Shoals sisters on it in the band, I said, yeah, that's what this guy's thinking about, And there's some very interesting things on this album that I wouldn't have thought of.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have thought of. So I think it was great. I can't wait till we do another one.
Well, same here.
But it's got to be different.
Absolutely, and for me too. And I'm glad you feel that way, because I think you said, I know how to do it myself, and I fill it up. You know, I'm the engine and all of that.
Yeah.
And that's sacred to me. So even if we add window dressing by, you know, band or singers or whatever, that is like, we must never lose that.
Yeah.
So my instruction to the band, and also like me, for example, the reason I hired those guys, especially Mark Jordan on the keys, he's the most less is more player that I know. And I feel if I would have gotten somebody else, it would have maybe kind of interfered a little bit with what was already there.
Yeah, he was great.
So that was important. I think that's probably the root of our mutual understanding. Is like, okay, we must retain the heart of Doug, and then we can put a frame around it, but the frame must never contradict Doug.
I understand what you mean. It shouldn't overshadow what the Doug part is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I agree, and I'm very proud of the record. I really am.
I am too.
I'm very, very proud of it. And it wasn't what I expected. I didn't expect it to be really as good as it is. I know this is your podcast and stuff. It sounds like, whoa, there must be some money being spent here.
Yeah, but you know, I mean,
it's true.
I think, you know, people listening kind of know, but I think a little bit, but I feel like I can be proud of you and you can, I guess, proud of me.
Yeah.
I feel like, you know, we've already gotten some really good feedback too. And I'm always like, yeah, because Doug's presence and his songwriting is so strong, it was easy for me. And from a producer's perspective, if your songs are there, if you know what you're doing, you know your performances were really solid.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't really have to work on those for a long time. And when all of that is in place, my job is easy. It's only hard if you have to manufacture all of that while you're working.
See, that's, you know, maybe all those albums I made for the audiophile companies where there were no overdubs. It was like recorded in the 40s, I mean, 30s and 40s. They just started going, and that was it. So I think that kind of taught me to be in the studio, to be really ready.
Yeah.
And not be saying, well, can we experiment here? Can we do this here?
Yeah.
I remember the first one on AudioClip. It was tape, and I think it was 30 inches per second.
Yeah.
Right? The highest it could go.
Yeah.
So you might be able to get 2 songs on it, you know?
Yeah, 15 minutes.
Yeah, is that what it is? All right. So you had to come in and get ready. I mean, you couldn't, they can't change the reel, you know, while the song is going on. So, you saw Charlie last
Charlie
night.
MacLeod,
And I mean, Charlie was on the first AudioQuest album. And Charlie didn't know what this was about. I didn't know, but I was working maybe 6 or 7 months with Joe Harley before we went in.
Yeah.
But Charlie didn't know. Charlie thought, you know, well, we hear the track, I'll play something to it. And Charlie, we were sitting down, and Joe said something like, all right, Charlie, let's go out and do this. And Charlie said, all right. And he said, now, remember, there's no overdubs. And you know how Charlie talks that he's real soft-spoken and everything. You know, no overdub. And Joe said, no, this is like how they recorded back in the 30s. We're just gonna record it. He goes, we're just gonna record it.
Haven't done that in a while.
You know, it can be of course he did great. I mean, he did great. He did one, I think it was Bringing On Home. I was in F sharp. I capoed on E, and Charlie, I think, was playing an A harmonica. If I might be wrong, but he was like, it was one of those positions that he plays in, like 3 or 4 or 5, wherever he, you know.
Yeah.
And he just, it was just a lot of fun, and I think that's what prepares you when you go into the studio to make sure you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know, and not sitting there saying, well, let me try this, let me try that. Or unless that's a creative thing where you say, oh, they already got the song. What about if we do it a little slower? How about if we add this to it, a little bit of this, a little bit of, But as a songwriter, you definitely have to know what the song is. You definitely got to have an idea what's going on.
Yeah, and these days even more because the budgets for recording are getting smaller. So time is money, if you will.
Yes, sir.
And you don't have the luxury to experiment too much.
Mm-mm. No, not like it was back in the 60s, you know.
Yeah. So if you don't mind, I would just like to go down the track list and just kind of throw the title at you, and you tell me if anything comes to mind, either, you know, how the song came about or a story in the studio.
Okay.
You know, we can go back and forth too. So you alluded to Memphis in Your Soul a little bit already. That's the lead off track.
Right. And that's exactly what that's about. I think that when you go to Memphis, if you go to the Mississippi, whether it's in night or daytime, and just feel that river, you will feel. You'll feel the music. You will definitely feel it. It's like there's a verse in the line, "Ghosts from down river call, you're where music lives." Like all the blues from down in Mississippi and so on. It all lives there. So you go there to Memphis, maybe you get some barbecue, maybe you go to Lancey's, buy you a shirt, you go anywhere. And then when you leave Memphis, you'll have a piece of Memphis in your soul.
Yeah. And when you presented the song to me, I was like, you know, what do I hear or what do I feel, you know, kind of by you tell me what you just did. Musically, Memphis, the blues, you bring that, rockabilly.
Absolutely.
And soul music, stacks and that kind of.
Yeah.
So that was one of the few tracks I actually played second guitar on.
That's right.
I'll tell you why. I thought if we can manage to get a little bit of that sun rockabilly sound in and a little bit of soul, then we can musically kind of really be Memphis.
Well, it does. I think the little licks you did, the little sixth lick
Yeah,
you do on the four chord.
So first, deciding to use an upright bass and kind of the way we orchestrated the rhythm section, that was kind of DJ Fontana and Bill Black idea behind in my mind. I probably never even told you. And then those little ascending licks, that's my little tip of the hat to Cropper.
Absolutely.
I mean, we played on the acoustic guitar, but I thought if we can fix it all together without sounding manufactured, it incorporates those different facets of the
I thought it was perfect.
I'm glad you think so.
Because that's a signature.
Yeah.
You know?
And
His 6 licks that he did going up, and that's his signature.
And then we added the Shoal Sisters. That's like the gospel element.
They were wonderful.
Yeah, and I think at the very end we'll talk about who all was our team was, if that's okay. Track number 2, Between Somewhere and Goodbye, title song.
Yeah, that's a song that I can hear George Harmonica Smith right now. He said, you know, when you stop to think about that, you'll find out that's something to stop and think about it. I can hear him. Between Somewhere and Goodbye, simply, it's about life. You are somewhere, you're born somewhere. The time between that somewhere and goodbye is your life. And this is a song about an old soul that meets a young man on a lost highway and gives him some advice on how to go on with this thing that's between somewhere and goodbye.
Yeah, and I really can't state enough how deep and great your songwriting is. And I think as good a player you are. There are a lot of good players, but and in a way, I don't mean to say that in a bad way, but really great songwriting is almost a little hard to come by in the blues world these days. And I think the reason is, or one of the reasons is, there's so much great music from the past that we adore so much, and coming up with something that is reverent of the past but also original enough is hard. And I think you do that better than about anybody.
Well, I appreciate that.
And that's a good example.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Keep on walking on.
Again, it's one of those themes of mine that you're going to deal with adversity in your life, and you can't give into it. It's like I say, this music blues, I believe, is music overcoming adversity, not subjecting to it. There's been a few songs that I've written along that subject. To just, the minute you stop, it's over. It's over. Your life that might be it. You just, no matter how difficult things are, no matter how tough things are, if you decide to quit, well, that's it. But if you say, no, I'm going to keep on walking on, I'm going to keep on going, then at the very least you got a chance.
Yeah.
But if you don't keep on walking, you got no chance.
That's true. Live to tell the tale.
So that's what that is.
Yeah. And that one had an R&B undercurrent too.
Sure. Obviously you can tell that I must have listened to Curtis Mayfield quite a bit.
Yeah.
And I have. I people don't know this, but I am, if you were on the road with me and the iPod was on, you would hear people like Tyrone Davis. You would hear Curtis Mayfield. You'd hear Jerry Butler.
Yeah, maybe Bobby Womack.
Yeah. It was soul kind of thing. I love the soul end of it,
Yeah. So, Hard Times.
Influenced by the guitar work of Robert Nighthawk. 8-bar blues, I believe it is, with a rather simple lead line, but again, it's that old thing with blues, less is more. If you can say everything you need to say with a few notes, a la B.B. King, Albert King, then do it. And Nighthawk was the same way in my mind. So
yeah,
that's standard E tuning and just playing slide.
Yeah, I love that one. I was on the floor for it too, which was nice.
You were?
I would say, that's, me wearing the producer's hat is always like, maybe not stay out of the way, because I also don't want to infringe on your original idea, but I really wanted to hear you solo without feeling you needed to hold down the rhythm on this track. And that made me pick up a rhythm guitar, so it would free you from the burden, if you will, of keeping it all together.
Right, which is what I usually do.
Yeah.
Live, which is keep
and
everything
it just
going.
sings beautifully with a slide. And
Yeah, just that Nighthawk kind of, that's the inspiration,
Yeah.
Nighthawk.
All right. I need to go back and listen to it. It's been a while since I listened to him.
Well, yeah, he's great.
Then number 5, Roll Like a River, which you titled Roll Like a River 2025, because that's a song you recorded once before.
Maybe
and a live record.
Yeah, maybe twice. I want
Okay.
people to know that this one is different. Yeah.
Yeah, so I want to hear from you in a second here too, why you wanted to do it again, but I'll preface with saying thank you. Because I think we might have even talked about it at one point. I'm like, I just love the song so much. And I don't know if I told you that, I would love to get a chance to show it in a little bit of a different light, or if that was just internal, or we just kind of had the same idea independently. But anyway, to make a long story short, thank you that you did it again, because I think it's really paid off.
Well, my recollection is that you said you would like to get a chance to produce that song. and it's a great song.
Mm-hmm.
So what you did with it is different from the other versions, and that's why it's 2025. So when they go to do their Spotify and everything, they get the right one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Schultz sisters again.
Yes.
Some sugar.
Oh man, yeah.
And that's a hit song to me. And today you play beautiful W.C. Henry Blues and Barbecue Festival in Henderson, Kentucky, and you played the song, and it got over really well. It was the perfect setting too, right next to the river. So
Yeah. You know, when a good song that comes from the heart, that comes from the soul, it's going to reach people. It's going to reach people.
Yeah, and it's also a testament to the song that you can strip it down to one voice and one guitar.
Yeah, that exactly. And that song, and you can also have a band on it and backup singers on it, and it gets the same message across.
Yeah, absolutely. Two sides of the same coin, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Number 6, I Ain't No Stranger.
Ooh, yeah. Now,
that's deep blues again.
Yeah, it's a deep blues. It's, I ain't no stranger. That's the last line. I wonder, is time chasing me or am I chasing time? Ain't no stranger. Boy, there's a lot of ways you can take it. When I wrote it, it just came to me. It's one of those things that came out in maybe 10 minutes. The lyric, 10 minutes. I prefer not to tell people what was going through my mind.
I do too, because you kind of don't want to spoil their interaction with, because it's their soul at that particular moment that meets the song, and that creates meaning.
That's exactly right. That's exactly what I said. That one that's another one that George has said, when you stop to think about it, that's something to stop and think about.
Yeah.
And that's what that's supposed to be. That's supposed to make you think about, what does this mean? And you go deep inside yourself to find out what the meaning is for you.
Yeah. It's good. Number 7 is lyrically probably the most clever song in a different, I wouldn't say necessarily tongue-in-cheek, but like a little different. You can elaborate on that. It's called One Rib Short. And no, it's not a barbecue song. Because that's the first thought I had when I saw it, just read the title. It's like, oh, somebody's hungry.
One rib short, the whole thing that we got going on in the world today, the craziness we got in the world going on. Everybody upset, everybody doing this, and you go back to the Garden of Eden. That's what this song is. So it is a tongue-in-cheek look at the story of the Garden of Eden, right? And that snake that, like I said in the song, there's a whole lot of people wishing, hoping that there's 2 nice kids would have let that third party be.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. And also, I think it's a good moment in the record. It's a deep record all over, but every once in a while you also kind of have to just breathe a little bit, and I think that kind of gives the opportunity to kind of do that and maybe appeal to other part of your being.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess it did. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Number 8, the seen and the unseen.
Yeah.
And most songs we did 1 or 2 takes. This one we ended up doing 3, but not because we didn't have it before. Take 1 was basically without any thoughts about it, go in and cut it. And it's just you and Lynn Williams on drums.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, there's not that much. I barely had to write a chart for him because, he just has to be there behind you. And then we went back in, and the first take had magic. It was kind of loose and apprehensive in the best possible way, before like kind of just pure inspiration and not overthinking. Number two, everybody wanted to do it a little bit better, so we got a cleaner version and maybe in a way a better version, but it lost some of that initial spark. And I think even to the fact that like your first impression was number two was better because everything had settled a little bit more. I knew right away number one because I was not in the middle of it. I was an observer. So I had a different set of ears, but I could imagine that you were like, yeah, we got that better, you know, but better is better as good as the first one. And we decided to use the first one.
Is that what we did?
Yeah,
The first one?
because
Well,
it
that
felt,
sounds good.
It's it kind of seemed, and blues, has a lot to it. It's so straight done.
Yeah.
But then I asked you to do something. I think it's the only one time on this. Hey, can you give me one more? Because I kind of heard Tony Joe White with a fuzz pedal doing this song. So it was at the end of the very first day, and we did a third take. We ran your guitar through a fuzz pedal, just let our hair down, and it was spectacular. We did not use it. I never thought we would, but I thought, I just want to try everybody before we get too tired to continue to do a really wild take of it.
I don't even remember that. Did we do that?
Yeah. I'll share it with you.
You should share that. Well, you probably did.
No, I did. I shared it with you, but I mean, once we decided for the first take, obviously we wouldn't keep listening. I'm glad we did it, even just for shits and giggles.
Yeah.
That's my journey with your song, if you will. But when you sent me the original demo, I knew that was drums and guitar rather than drums, bass, and guitar, just because it had this rural, super like kind of, I don't know what you call it, but like super basic and kind of direct,
kind of
raw feel to it.
Raw feel. And of course the theme is raw too. It's about George Smith's wife, Teen, who was born under a veil, which means that she has sight.
Yeah.
And the midwife had knowledge when the mother was giving birth that the baby would be born with sight, and in order to protect that, the midwife would have a veil put over the mother, and she would receive the baby underneath the veil. And in my time with Teen, there were times that she had sight and advised me on things to do.
Oh wow!
And it worked. Yeah.
That's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's the most like mystical song probably of the.
Well, it is when you think of, it's like a saying that came. The funny thing is like I've said to people here now recently. I was real fortunate that the older black musicians that I worked with, just not working with them, they invited me into their culture. And for a kid from upper middle class St. Louis, I mean, I had no idea what this was. I had no idea. And here I am introduced to this whole new culture and seeing and being around this stuff. Well, it changed my life.
Yeah, and I can relate to that too. There's a couple, 3 mentors, African American mentors too in my life, and most of all, the great German Holmes of the Holmes brothers.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a similar experience too, and really generous on his part to kind of not just let me in, but actually impart some of that kind of wisdom on me. And and I would never take it for granted. And at one time he said, Andreas, my grandmother was born a slave.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, man, it's that juxtaposition of the it's deep. There's all this generational sadness and just wrongdoing, and that beautiful release of the music, I mean, that's, I don't know, I'm just like that, just kind of stunned and sad and lucky and all at the same time. I don't know how you receive
The
that,
same
but
way.
it's just like it's almost overwhelming at times.
Well, because it's so different. It's so different, and boy, I'm stopping because someone will let you in on something. I think the reason, I got along really well. I never had any trouble. Never experienced any trouble when I went to the black clubs or anything like that. And of course, they all kind of thought that maybe somewhere down the line there might have been some black blood in me, right? My son, this last Christmas, he got us that genealogy thing.
Yeah.
Well, of course, I'm Scottish, so like 70% Scottish, right? Something like that. And all my family's from Canada. We're all from the Maritimes, which means we're Acadian, which is the original Cajun, right? And then they kept on looking down, and then they found out that I am from a group called the Acadian Settlers. And then they found out another thing, that I am also a black Acadian. So we checked this out. We started to look at this, and I mean a small percentage, not big,
Sure, yeah.
but a smaller percentage of it. So we started to check it out, and Joyce Carl, who was a legend of Memphis, right, one of the great singers.
Yeah.
She and I were talking, and she kind of I don't think she knows this. Oh yeah, she does. She knows this. Yeah. And she pointed out to me that Harriet Tubman, her Underground Railroad ended in Nova Scotia. One of the places it ended was Nova Scotia. And there was a guy by the name of James MacLeod, spelled exactly like me, that helped her back in the day, right?
Wow.
And then we got another thing that was a picture of a black gentleman from Sierra Leone, right? And my wife, Patty Joy, saw this thing, and it comes on the computer, and she goes, "That kind of looks like your dad." I said, "In some ways it does." But he was from Sierra Leone. So maybe there was a kindred spirit with me that they sensed, those black musicians sensed. They said, "Oh, he's somewhat part of us."
Yeah. And, also like being so appreciative of what and who they are.
Oh, boy, I'll tell you. I mean, I don't want to mention names, but I knew a bunch of them that couldn't read or write, right? But the wisdom they had, the philosophy of life, I think that's where my music comes from. Because I would listen to these people talk, and I go, this is truth they're talking here. It's real simple. It's not real fancy. There's not fancy words. There's not all this thing. But they're coming at you with just these real simple truths. So maybe that's where my writing comes from,
Yeah.
I know my playing comes from that. I think all my music comes from that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think all of it come. Yeah,
I
do.
certainly believe that. Yeah. So, number 9, even angels get too sad to fly.
Yeah. I co-wrote this with Danny Jessup. Danny sent the lyrics to me maybe 12 years ago, maybe even 15 years. And nothing ever came about. I couldn't get it. I tried blues, tried this, and it didn't happen. And then one night, I think I was listening to, well, it's got those soul kind of changes,
Yeah.
right? It's got soul changes. So I was listening to probably somebody like Tyrone Davis or I wouldn't know, but Tyrone Davis, that kind of thing. Maybe Clay Hammond and David Ruffin. I think better was David Ruffin, and the changes came. And I said, oh, and then I put it together, and that's how that song came out.
All right.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah, I was wondering because you mostly write by yourself, but as a co-writer, I thought, well, I don't think you co-wrote, if you will, that recently, but now it makes all sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
And second to last song, number 10, I Don't Like Your Chances.
Well, this is kind of going back on me when I was younger and I was wild and I wasn't the best relationship partner a person could have. This is, of course, before my wife now, right, at 46 years. But, I always thought, I could fool around on the side and they wouldn't know and all of this and that. And so it just kind of dawned on me. I said, I wish somebody would have come up to me back in those days and say, Doug, I don't like your chances.
He's like, what would you tell your younger self? Yeah. He said, yeah, it's a blues song for sure.
It sure is.
All right, the last one, and I think it's a really fitting final track. Watching the sun go down. Also kind of the curtain on the record, if you will.
Mm-hmm. And you'll notice that it's a co-write, and that's being extremely generous, to Bruce Bromberg. But there's a great story to this. When Bruce was alive, we used to, when I had the electric band, we would get together and write, and throw out ideas and stuff. And he had this idea called Watching the Sun Go Down. That's as far as we got. And I got a file in my computer that says Bromberg songs. And when the ground became fertile and I started thinking about things, I went into that file and I said, Watching the Sun Go Down. I said, man, watching the sun go down. It can either be a wonderful feeling. Say if you have someone that you love and you are together, you're happy, and you're sitting on your porch and you're watching that sun go down, and the cicadas in the background humming, and you go, this is a wonderful life. But what happens watching the sun go down when that one person you love has decided to leave or is gone from you? Then that beautiful time becomes a very sad time. So when I wrote the song, I gave Bruce, half of the writers. And that goes back to a time when Bruce Bromberg, Dave Alvin, and me were writing a song. I think it turned out to be The Devil's Wind. I'm pretty sure. And the three of us were sitting down and nothing was happening. Nothing. And I said something as simple as, well, how about instead of the, how about And Dave goes, everybody shut up. And he started to write, he wrote the song. It just came. And he wrote it. And he says, MacLeod, you're getting a third. I said, a third? I said, all I did was say instead of the or something. And he said, if you hadn't have said it, I would have never got the song. So that became a little joke in high tone. We used to say, change a word, get a third.
Yeah.
But that song would have never happened unless Bruce had the title of that, 20 years ago, 30 years ago?
Yeah.
Watching the Sun Go Down. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's also a nice little tribute to your fallen friend, He's not here anymore, but
Right.
he kind of was, was able to participate.
Yeah, and it was just the right thing to do. It was just the right thing to do, because that song wouldn't have happened unless Bruce had the idea of Watching the Sun Go Down.
Yeah, and one way or another, it has been germinating, in you, in one way.
It
or
must have
another.
been, huh? Yeah. It must have been, because it was, You know how those things happen when the creative thing happens where you say, oh, let me look at this. And all of a sudden the idea comes and you go, holy smokes, there's the song right there.
Yeah, I always like, people ask me, hey, how long did it take you to write that song? Yeah, 20 minutes. But you had to live your life all the way to those 20 minutes to put whatever into those 20 minutes.
Exactly. Yes, exactly right. Yeah.
So we recorded three more songs, including a really cool arrangement you had of the Christmas song, Go Tell It on the Mountain.
Mm-hmm.
But we cut everything like in a couple days, tracking, couple days overdubbed, go back home kind of affair, which I think I had the studio booked for a whole week, just because you don't want to put that pressure on you.
Yeah,
but,
right.
But I mean, we didn't waste any time.
No, it was great, and the musicians that you got, John and Paul, especially bass and drum, and Lynn couldn't sing me. Right, he's in a drum booth.
Yeah, he's kind of around
way down there,
Yeah.
Just wonderful, great musician.
Yeah, and that was important to me too, because that was the first time we worked with those guys and ladies. So I knew that it would work because I've worked with those guys so much. I worked with you. I knew that it was going to work, or I sensed it for sure. But I also needed to make sure that you had enough faith. Or I think I remember telling you, Doug, I think we got the right people that will follow you wherever you want to go.
Mm-hmm.
And because I didn't want you to feel like uneasy, because it was kind of a speed dating, if you will. It's not that we spend a couple 3 days together and then we start. It's like, hey Doug, nice to meet you. Hug, groove. It's like. But I think once you had that first track, I would think that it feels good,
Yeah, it felt great. I felt right at home with them.
Good. So you said Lynn Williams, Paula Sola.
Right.
Lynn worked with Elton McClayton for a long time, Wallflowers, John Hyatt, Leroy Purnell, a lot of people. A lot of Muscle Shoals sessions with me. Paula Sola was in the Saturday Night Live band, played with Levon Helm, a lot of other people too. And then we are the Funky Chester Rhythm Section collectively.
Right.
And we use different keyboard players, Mark Narmore, Harvey Thompson Jr. that we lost a few years ago, Kevin McKendry, and for your project, the great Mark T. Jordan, who was not on the tracking sessions because I didn't want you to feel in any way inhibited by another voice, by the keyboard.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, well, in that case, we'll overdub the keyboards. So you could just do what you do and don't have to feel you have to change. That was my reasoning behind it. But also because we knew your guitar was the main, rhythm instrument, and the keyboards would be more of a seasoning than and I think that with the exception of one track, that's pretty much what they are too. And I chose Mark because I knew he would have the empathy to not step on your performance. Sometimes people like to play, and when you let them loose, they may overplay a little bit. Mm-hmm. But Mark is not that kind of player.
Not at all. In fact, there's sometimes I'll tell you something. There was times when I would listen to him and I said, "Man, I wish he would have played more."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good to know for me too. Maybe also when it comes to in the next project. And then we added as a cherry on the cake the Shoal sisters, that's Cindy Richardson Walker, Marie Tomlinson Louis, and Carla Russell from Muscle Shoals.
Mm-hmm.
And they sprinkled their fairy dust on it.
Magic.
Yeah.
Wonderful singers.
Yeah, absolutely. And very, that's what they do. So, it didn't take them long long to come up with a cool part or assess, and transcribe our ideas, my ideas, I guess, because in my mind, I always try like to find a good middle ground between like having some good ideas that I bring to the session, but not having too many like preconceived notions, because you don't want to inhabit their creative process either. And I feel like it sounds organic to me, so I think the way it came about, it was the way it was meant to.
I do
come
too.
about.
I do too. I don't think we even thought about like a plastic kind of production. I think we just went in and just the music come.
Yes.
And everybody played, and you made your ideas, as a producer.
Yeah. You should look into my brain sometimes. There's a lot going on.
I think I'll pass on that.
But obviously, I know that too, and I kind of, self-edit before I come up with bad ideas.
Well, Andrea, since I've met you and started to know you, you're a very, very creative person. So your ideas, to me, you make a suggestion to me. That's like a trusted bandmate.
Yeah.
And you go, yeah, let's talk about this. Or if he's feeling this, there's something there.
Yeah.
Right?
I feel I like that approach, kind of best idea wins, if you will.
Yeah.
And some things you have to kind of throw at the wall. And, it's not necessary. Some things you have to try until you really know.
Yeah.
And I guess because I've done it so much, I have to try less because I kind of anticipate the result a little bit better.
Well, yeah. I think I understand what you said.
That's what you learn. Working with the same people and kind of knowing what everybody can contribute.
Absolutely.
Because
That's a producer's job, isn't it?
yeah, you're a
kind of like
casting director a little bit,
Yeah. Or manager of a baseball team.
Yeah, I always think if I'm the weakest link in the room, I'll be fine because everybody knows what they're doing. I feel like if you're great, Lynn, Paul, everybody's so good, that makes my job easy. You think I'm a good producer, but I'm not a good producer. I just know how to get a good team together. I think I'll take credit for that.
Look, that's a good producer. That's a good producer. I remember when we did a Soul to Claim with Jim, right?
Yeah.
Jim would not do the record until he got his guys. Right?
Yeah.
It had
I
to
can
be.
relate to that. for
Yes.
sure.
There were three guys, Rick Steff, Dave Smith, and Stephen Potts.
Yeah.
Right? Had to be those three guys. He would not do any combination of it. No. He said, this is the team that can do what
What do you want?
what I know is going to work with you.
Sure.
So we waited until the three guys were available, then we went in, and the same kind of thing. It was done in 1 or 2 takes, that was it.
Yeah. And then before we wrap it up, I would like to give a shout out to my sonic partner in crime, my great friend Joe Vanderberg, who is solely responsible for translating what we created on the musical side to tape, or in our case digital.
Joe, my goodness gracious, what a great engineer. He makes why I'm having a hard time saying something is that there was no pressure. Joe just kind of, I don't know, he's got, whatever Joe got, it's great. Because you just go in and you think about making the music.
Yeah.
And there's no thing what happens when Joe make a mistake. If he did, I didn't know about it. But I've been in situations where the engineer didn't have it together and we lost a good take.
Yeah, or you have to wait longer than.
Yes, you have to wait a little longer and it starts to cool, and you go, oh Jesus. Because when that spirit hits, especially when you were recording, you got to get it then. You got to get it. And Chief Joe, it's just like, so he's got an incredible talent.
Yeah.
I'm glad we hooked up.
Yeah, well, same here.
All the guys. I'm glad, and the gals. I'm
Yeah.
glad we all made it.
And I'm so glad Between Somewhere and Goodbye is coming out right about now, because we recorded this last year and we're like not sitting on it because it takes time to plan a release. But still, like, I'm like, I want to share this with everybody.
Yeah.
And I'm glad we can do that now.
I am too.
And, And thanks again for trusting in me to be a suitable partner in the process. It's been my joy. And I look forward to the next one, I guess.
Me too, Andreas. I look forward to it. May it be soon.
All right. You got it.
All right.
I'll make myself available whenever you need me to be.
Thank you. All right. And thanks for having me on this podcast. I appreciate
Thank you.
it.
You have a safe trip back home to Memphis.
All right.
And
you too to Nashville later on today.
Yeah. And we'll reconvene before you know it.
There you go.
Thanks, Doug.
You're welcome, Andreas.
And that was my conversation with Doug MacLeod. And Doug's new album, Between Somewhere and Goodbye, is out now on Reference Recordings. You can get it straight from Doug's website and also from your very favorite independent record store. Stay tuned for future blues-related podcast episodes, including European blues giant Hans Theessink and Canadian blues impresario Holger Peterson. And that's it for today. I hope to catch you again next time. Be well and may your day be full of great music. Bye for now. Crazy Chester Radio Hour was created and produced by me, Andreas Warner, producer, songwriter, composer with a Muscle Shoals heart. The theme song is performed by Jimmy Hall of Wet Willie and the Funky Chester Rhythm Section. It was recorded at Creative Workshop Studio in Nashville, Tennessee. You can find out more about the podcast and myself at crazychesterrecords.com or on Instagram at crazychesterrecords.